Well, joining me now for more on this is Democrat strategist Jim Kessler. Jim, good morning. Great to see you as always. How do you interpret President Trump's post?
I think we should consider the possibility that that post is meaningless, okay? Donald Trump has said a lot of words about Ukraine and Russia, Zelensky and Putin in the last 2 weeks, but let's look at the actions for the last 8 months. Basically, he has sided more with Putin than with Zelensky. The U.S. no longer provides arms to Ukraine. Trump has threatened sanctions against Russia and particularly countries that are buying their oil. He has not followed through. So Putin believes he can wait this out. And that's what he's doing. He thinks the time is on his side. They had a nice summit in Alaska. Donald Trump rolled out the red carpet. There was a great meeting in the Oval Office with Zelensky and European leaders. Seemed to move back into a more rational place. But I just think Putin and Russia feels like they can wait and then eventually, just wear the U.S. and Europeans down.
Jim, obviously you're critical of President Trump, but don't you concede that this is the most progress that's been made since the war began, more progress than Joe Biden had made?
I wish there was more progress. And look, I wish I could be praising Donald Trump on this too, because I think the situation in Ukraine is so important. And I think it's important for Europe. I think it's also important in Asia too, because I think Xi Jinping is looking to see how would the U.S. and allies react with Taiwan. But I don't feel like that we're any closer. And Donald Trump has threatened sanctions on Russia over and over again and has not pulled the trigger. And that's the next thing to do. And Ukraine also needs more offensive weapon support from the United States. We have taken that away. Ukraine needs to be in a stronger position, not a weaker position, to end this war.
But don't you see that by Putin agreeing that he's willing to speak with Zelensky and vice versa, that potentially trilateral talks are on the table? That's progress, right?
Potentially. It can also be dragging this out. And if you're of the view, as I am, that Putin wants this to last longer and wants to do delaying tactics and appear to be moving towards a settlement while he wears down Ukraine and Ukraine's allies, then this is to Putin's advantage. The U.S. needs to put more pressure on Putin. We need to put our boot on his throat. We can't keep giving him a pass. It's time to level these sanctions against them, try and change the calculus a little bit.
And, many questions around what does the peace deal look like if it happens with an international war criminal, and will it stick, is the question here. I mean, say we did see a peace deal, what do you think that would look like, and what would the security guarantees look like that come with that?
Right. So there would definitely need to be security guarantees for Ukraine so that this isn't not just a delay so that 5 or 10 years later, Russia can invade. Russia should also not be able to get any of the territory, certainly, that it hasn't been able to occupy militarily. I do believe Crimea, which the Russians took in 2014, it's hard for me to imagine Crimea returning to Ukraine. But some of the other regions, the Donbass region, those folks do not want to be under Russian rule. We shouldn't put them there.
Jim, what do you think, a few conversations that I've been having with people is questions around what the people of Russia, obviously we know what the people of Ukraine want, but what do the people of Russia want? How do they feel?
Right, and it's kind of hard to say. So if you look at a lot of Russians that are kind of in the more middle and upper class, the war hasn't touched them greatly. Most of the troops are not coming from those regions and those families. Those folks have moved on. The U.S. sanctions were never really as tough as they could have been. They're certainly not that tough anymore. But Russia has lost, 400,000 people not including those that have been wounded. About 700,000 have been wounded. That's an entire generation that is really scarred from this. I'm sure they'd love to see the war end. There's propaganda there, so they really feel that they're doing the right thing. I mean, that's the way countries feel. But I'm sure they would love to see the war end and sort of some sort of resumption of normalization.
Well, hopefully we can see some kind of trilateral discussion take place. Jim Kessler, thank you as always. Great to see you.
Thank you.